So the tinnitus community online is so interesting, and I hear so many different points of view from different people. But I continue to have hope that we can improve the overall situation and people can get more help and do better and recover faster and maybe even work toward cures. One problem that we often have in the tinnitus community is there's a lot of people that have different reasons for being part of it, and they have different viewpoints for what we should do about tinnitus. So on the one hand, we have people who really want to find a cure, and maybe among that group, some of them do not believe that this thing called habituation is possible, or that forget about that, just find a cure. And I know for some people it's really loud and they have differing tones, and that group of people, they maybe feel like the habituation's a lot harder for them. But I have heard lots of cases where people who had two or three sounds. David Letterman's a good example, where he was able to habituate to it, and he obviously had a good life. Has a good life. He's still alive, right? Yeah. And what else? I don't know if he is. I think he is. And then there's another group who they had it really bad, and then they have gotten a lot better, but sometimes it still bothers them. That's one group of people. And they maybe certain times of the day they feel more bothered by it. That can also sort of be grouped together with anxiety and stress and stuff. So that can be tricky as far as whether it's the anxiety or the tinnitus. And there's definitely a group of people who they need help now. They're really, really bad. They think their life is over. We had a person in the psychiatric ward. We had another person who was using heroin. I've gotten some good news from him recently. He's doing a lot better, and I think he's decided he's done with that. He's a lot of the time not even thinking about the tinnitus anymore. Doing great. But I mean, we just get some people where they're in a very tricky situation right now, where they're really in a bad place. They can't sleep. We have one guy who says he couldn't sleep for a month, and that's crazy. I had a friend for another reason who went a long, long time with just no sleep, kidney transplant patient. It is possible to live for a long time without sleep or very little sleep, but it's very difficult, So, but we have a lot of people in the tinnitus community where they're really in the bad place right now and they need help, and those people I especially want to look out for and try to let them know. A lot of us were in the same place where it seems like it would be impossible to recover from this low point, yet we did, and we got better. And I want them to know that. And then there's people who they just sometimes get anxiety about it, and they feel like it's always making their life difficult. And I think that can get better too. Yeah. And maybe if the tinnitus community can sort of get a little bit more together, where we're working together, even though we have different points, maybe that would help get more attention. We could work together to get more attention, to get some money to help fund the research and make it more an important thing that we need to study so that we can get a cure. But if we're divided, that's not very good. So I mean, we can unite in all wanting to find a cure, and also unite in knowing that mental health is an important part, and we can do so much better if we're in a bad place. So much better. And I've been so fortunate to talk to so many people who were in a bad place and they got to a better place, and I'm so happy that is something that's taking place on a regular basis. People are getting better. They're getting into a low place where they think things are impossible, and then they transform and they become better. I'm so lucky. I mean, I don't even think about it anymore, and when I do, it doesn't bother me anymore. I'm just normal now. Maybe a little better than I was before. If the sound were to go away tomorrow, good, but my life wouldn't change too much. I remember hearing someone say that a long time ago, and they said exactly that. If the tinnitus were to go away tomorrow, it really wouldn't change me that much. And I didn't believe them. I thought, how is that even possible? Yeah, this is a loud sound. But fast forward, a year or two later, and yes, my brain just sort of put it back into the background. So that's why I make these videos, because I think it's possible, because I talk to a lot of people who did exactly the same thing. They got to a place where the sound was not so bothersome anymore, and they're living a normal life, or maybe sometimes getting some problems, but not all the time. Like, it's a lot better than it was before. So all good stuff. We also have the Hyperacusis people, where they're very any sort of sound can really like terrorize them and give them tremendous anxiety. And that's one area where I probably could study a little bit more, but I got the general idea because I feel like I have it a little bit. I remember having one of those, a car behind me with one of those just massive bass systems. A couple different times it happened to me where it was boom, 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 and I panicked. I had to pull over the car. I couldn't function. I was totally couldn't do anything. I think that's what hyperacusis is like. And that's another area where I haven't delved into enough, but I know that they're part of our community too, and we should welcome them as well. Now, in terms of the other side, we have the community of people who are helping people with tinnitus. We have the ENT specialists who can go in there and look at our ears and tell us what's wrong with them, or maybe tell us there's not much wrong with them. But it doesn't really help us with the tinnitus. And then there are a lot of people who are going around talking about diet and cures and cranial stimulation and CBD or different drugs you can take that will somehow make the tinnitus go away. And unfortunately, there's not really one solid method that just knocks down the tinnitus. So, but a lot of people are making money off of these things, and it's very unfortunate. There have definitely been some cases where people were in that bad place with their tinnitus, and I know they could have gotten to a better place, but they were in that bad place, and someone promised them a cure, and then it didn't work, and they just lost all hope. And that's just such an awful thing. The people walking around, promising cures, but then one level above that are people who are basically in it for the main purpose of profiting. Like, their rates are very high, where it might cost, $250 an hour or $130 a session, just for a 30-minute session, $130. And a lot of people don't have that kind of money. So they're just picking off the wealthy people who do have enough money, and they don't really help the other people because the other people don't have a budget like that. So there's that aspect. And then we have the mental health aspect, where there's kind of a shortage of psychologists and psychiatrists who can, just have sessions with people and just talk and help people. And there's laws that you have to have this high degree to even offer counseling, and then that makes a shortage, and then that makes it really expensive. So many people are just stuck with nobody to talk to about it. So that's where I hope my channel sort of fills in a little bit of that void for some of the people. Maybe you don't have enough money, but you can hear me talk about it, and I have some expertise. But I'm just one guy. I'm definitely not a doctor. I can't offer myself as that, but I can talk about what I know and from my experience. And then what else is there in the community? There are researchers and people who are coming up with different methods. They're testing on mice, not too much on humans. They're testing different sound modulation devices. I think the sound devices definitely is something that is worth trying. The masking sounds for me is enough. But there are some people who have done some studies that the sound modulation might reduce the level of the tinnitus. I think it might also make those people a lot of money. So, which is it? Is it a little bit of both? I don't know. So I'm just trying to give you an overview of what I can think of as what is this tinnitus community. And of course, it's in different places. There's a tinnitus forums. I think if you Google that, you can find that. And then there's also Reddit. And I don't know what other big communities there are. I assume there's some on Facebook as well, but I haven't really explored those very much. And of course, there's many different YouTube channels. I'd rather not get into the YouTube channels because I might have to criticize those channels, and I'd rather not do that. But I think I've already told you there's some that I don't like, But anyways, that's a little overview of what I know. What do you know? Can you tell me more? I'm just trying to think about if I was going to start building a little bit more of a community and bring people together, what would I do so that, we could help more people? Give me some ideas if you have time. And I hope you have a wonderful weekend. Take care. Mm-hmm.